Okay, well, there's 60 acres here altogether, and it was developed over a 6-year period with one stage each year. It started at the south end and it worked north, so we'd build about 30 to 40 houses a year, put in the streets for it, and put in the green belts as we went along, plant the orchards. There's 240 houses on the 60 acres, plus orchards, vineyards, areas like this that are set aside for people who want to have a little more gardening area. And this community center, the community center is owned by the Homeowners Association. So the income derived from rents here help pay the gardeners to maintain the project. There's a restaurant, there's an office building over there with about 8 small offices in it. A lot of small businesses have come out of there. One of the biggest biofuel companies on the West Coast was born right there, and now has its headquarters, I believe, someplace else. But a lot of architects, environmental designers, engineers and stuff have lived here and started their business and has gone elsewhere. There's 4 rental units on top of these 2 buildings with offices below, the restaurant, and then we walk by the dance studio. The building over there is the community center building, which a lot of the time that it's been there has had a daycare during the day, but it's generally used for parties and weddings and of course a swimming pool for exercise. This is the largest play field. It's big enough for soccer, baseball, whatever, and then there's a smaller play field to the north. And as you walk through Village Homes, you'll notice there's a fair number of plants that don't produce food, but you'll see an awful lot of trees that are, you know, food producing. There'll be fruit that you've probably never heard of, like jujubes, and there's pineapple guavas and hedges. There'll be walnuts and pecans and pomegranates and persimmons. And then you'll see specific little orchards, and I see citrus all over the place. So the whole idea is that by mixing all that food in, you're producing more locally, you're cutting down on transportation, and it's really the way things always were before fossil fuels, is you had to be growing as much food as possible. All of the houses are really oriented towards the south so that you can get the sun into the south-facing windows for the passive solar effects. Also, it gives you a rooftop slanted in the right direction for solar water heating. You will notice our doors don't face east, very many of them, as I know that's important, but some do. And but they have the south-facing glass. The sun, of course, is high in the winter time, and the windows are all shaded, and the deciduous trees are leafed out, so they're protected well. The houses stay naturally cool. And so the solar energy was very important. Some people are starting to put the photovoltaics on now that they're more effective. So it was a passive solar energy, which is how living in nature in a place that felt comfortable because you were close to nature. Designed with kind of little natural spaces in kind of a picturesque form. But then also, besides the edible landscaping, we did the natural drainage. Most subdivisions will put the water into pipes and run it off the site. Here we're trying to capture the water and put it back into the ground like it naturally occurred. It saves a lot of money because you don't have to put in all that piping infrastructure. It's better for the soil because you're putting the water in and it's spreading around underneath the surface. It cuts down on irrigation costs. And also, as you notice these swales, some of them will be very natural looking, others will be through kind of more geometric areas where there's some landscape structures. So it creates a kind of an interest. So I would say the innovations are the edible landscaping, the natural drainage, the solar orientation, and all these were brand new when we started the project. The city engineers basically said our system wouldn't work and made us post an expensive bond to come in and tear it up and put in pipes if it didn't. And in the second year, there was a really heavy storm, and the city system was failing, and streets were getting a foot of water in them. And water was backflowing out of where we can put our water in. It was backflowing into the project. And we were taking relief off of the city system. And then I took photos of this and went to the city council and said, you know, your system failed, and not only did ours work, but we took pressure off of yours. Would you lift the bond for us now, please? And they did. But the city engineers and the planner, the woman who was the planner when we did this, she was actually a civil engineer who became a planner. And she fought this project tooth and nail, saying it flew in the face of everything she had learned in college. And I said, that makes sense to me. And so she had fought this tooth and nail. And about 6 or 7 years after it was complete, everything worked, she was on a lecture tour talking about how great this was and how all these different things.